couple with a brick, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A here at the DNVR bar. The A stands for a new era, and it is a new era here. And I know you hate when I use A, but it's too fitting today.
A or an, either article.
Yeah, well, too bad. It is a new era, but is there a chance that this old era will come back around? I want to talk to you guys about that in a second, but first a shout out to msudenver.edu/online. The absolute best place to get an online education is through MSU Denver. So you can check them out. Go to msudenver.edu/online to see all of the options they have for you, and they have a lot of options for you. And it's a great option for you, of course, if you are looking to work a full-time job, because MSU Denver students work twice as many hours as students attending any other college or institution.
My boys, what's up? And yesterday we talked about the grieving process, and I have a question for you guys. Is there a chance to go backward in that grieving process?
Yes.
Because yesterday I was, very businesslike, moving forward, good trade for the Broncos, but then Vaughn puts out this, 10-minute video?
Minutes, uncut.
Where he's just twists and daggers into people's hearts in Broncos country, making them so emotional.
I don't think you're going backward. I mean, you're at depression. Maybe you're at your stage 4 of the Kubler-Ross model right now.
I thought I was at acceptance yesterday, guys. And man, that was an incredible video.
Yeah, that was, as I tweeted out, it was rare, it was raw, it was special. You don't see that. You'll see a long written message.
Right.
But for Vaughn to just, he brings one of the Broncos digital media guys to his house and just says, roll it.
Yep.
And just talks.
Yep.
I looked at my watch. I'm like, he's still going. I actually got up, made a sandwich, came back. He was still going.
Yeah. No, I mean, I saw right when I clicked it, I was like 9 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yep.
And he named every teammate from Peyton Manning to Lorente McCray.
Yeah, how about that?
He went through every coach. I mean, it was unbelievable. He did call Pat Schumer, which is a popular thing around town these days.
Did he not get his position coach of 2015 in? Because I swear I didn't hear Fred Pagic's name.
He didn't get pugged.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll send him a personal text.
Richard Smith, his first position coach. He just lathered the praise.
He said he made Von Miller.
Richard Smith made him. And he mentioned current coach. Schumer, but
Pat Schumer and Curtis Modkins got a shout out.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
It was
Pug feeling not getting the mention. That's not, he's like, but Vaughn's like, I know I'm gonna miss somebody.
Yeah.
Because look, Vaughn didn't script it out. It wasn't like he walked up there.
No, that's the best part.
Like you do at the Academy Awards, and you're making sure you get all the names. He is just stream of consciousness, which is probably why I don't think he sat down thinking it was going to be 9 minutes and 55 seconds. And that was honestly why I kind of got up, because I felt like he was starting to circle back again. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let him go.
But like I said, you've seen long written things. For him to just say roll the tape and just talk was really special. It was really special, and it definitely set some people back. Feelings go up when the sun goes down, too. So it was...
you wake up the next morning without your bay there for the first time.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It was tough, but there was one part of this that, again, not necessarily helping anyone move on.
Yep.
2 different times in the video, Von Miller references a possible return, even going as far to go into Broncos history, and reference Shannon Sharpe, who, of course, won a Super Bowl, and came back, which I think Broncos fans are just, a lot of them are holding on to this hope. And then you get into the rosiest colored glasses possible. The Broncos trade Von Miller away to gain capital to then trade for a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson.
It's all a ploy.
And then he comes back and joins forces with them to win another Super Bowl in orange and blue. Sure, of course, it is unlikely, and it is a bit of a pipe dream. But people are in the mood for pipe dreams right now.
Man, is he messing with our emotion? I mean, this is like a breakup when the girl breaks up with you, and you're like, "Is there any chance in the future?" And she's like, "Well, we're gonna end it now, but maybe. I mean, I'm never gonna say never." And you're like, "Oh yes, there's hope."
Maybe if we're at different points in our life.
Right. I know people want to believe immediately. I think I would not be at all surprised if it happens down the line. Sharp left for 2 years and came back. Maybe a more modern comp, and I've kind of made the Julius Peppers comp on Vaughn before, as far as that's how you want to age. If you want to be productive in your 30s, more as a pass rush specialist, that's what it looks like, and that's why Pep's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famers, because he kept stacking 10 sack seasons, 8 sack seasons, and he transitioned into a specialized role. Peppers was away from Carolina for 7 years and came back for 2 at the end. I know people are, he could come back. Look, Vaughn says a lot of things, and Vaughn is very hyperbolic, and he's very and he can be emotional at times. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams, their planning is that Vaughn is back with them next year and that they sign him to a deal. But if Vaughn is back with the Broncos in 24, 25, that wouldn't at all surprise me.
Wow.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about this is I think Vaughn was really genuine when he said that. Like, that's where his mind was at that moment, was, hey, like, he clearly was not forcing his way out. I think you can say that with 100% certainty. He didn't necessarily want to leave. And I think there has to be a part of him who's like, wow, I get to go win again, which has to be exciting. There's definitely a part of him that's, he's talked about only the greats stay with the same team their whole career. And it was definitely painful for him to lose that. And I really do think that he was thinking, honestly, hopefully I can come back one day.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. But then he talked about that so much in Bronco for life. And by the way, I just have to say, I thought it was just a little bizarre that the Broncos kept tweeting Bronco for life. You just traded him. You just decided to not make him a Bronco for life. But that's what Vaughn wanted. And man, would it be something if he came back in a couple of years. But I do think that next year, guys, it's too soon for that to happen. I don't think the Rams are giving up a second and a third for Von Miller when they don't have any draft capital. I mean, that's the last draft capital they have to rent Von for 9 games. When they traded for Matthew Stafford, I don't think they viewed their window as this year.
1 year.
I think they viewed it as maybe 3 or 4 years. Yeah, exactly. And so that's why it can make sense. Bring Von in this year. What did they sign him to? A 2-3 year contract? Maybe they have to sign him to a longer deal in order to work the cap space, because what'd you say? They had $4 million in cap space as of yesterday.
For next year.
For next year, yeah. So then maybe we are talking about a long deal with Vaughn where it's really back heavy. But that's why I just don't see. I think Vaughn toying with our emotions a little too much for Vaughn being back with the Broncos in 2022.
Yeah, the other thing is
he's just not thinking about the business. He's thinking about his heart.
He thinks about his heart, and he thinks, and Vaughn is very moment to moment. I mean, Vaughn has lavished praise on Trevor Siemian and Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock.
But I actually think
Vaughn kind of goes with the emotion of the moment.
Yeah.
And so you hear those comments yesterday, gets a couple of sacks, he ends up doing a little sack dance, Rams Nation, Rams house falls in love with him. Then all of a sudden he's got great words for the Rams fan base as well, because that's Vaughn. Vaughn, to his credit, kind of lives in the moment in a way that maybe we all need to live in the moment.
Do you guys remember what Vaughn's first ever sack dance was with the Broncos? It was a mile-high salute. It would be
powerful.
one last little token for us if he gives a one last mile-high salute with his first sack as a Ram.
Oh, now that would be something.
Right, like a send-off to the Broncos fans. One last salute.
Wow, because he wasn't able to do that because, as he mentioned in that video, his last play was when he got injured.
Yep.
That was his last play with the Broncos.
Sack.
Yeah, it was. And a near devastating injury. Really glad it just
probably
turned out
would
to
have
be
been a Bronco for life.
Yeah, seriously, exactly. And now we know that this trade had been talked about for about a week now. And so it's really clear that Vaughn could have played on Sunday, but there was no reason to force it when there were when the trade was pretty much set.
Now, Vaughn is a pretty good PR. He understands it. But there was some reporting out there that he was blindsided by this. And if you watch that video, you certainly would not think that's the case. The way that he heaped praise on George Paton for his professionalism throughout the process tells me that, would Vaughn be the one who's smart enough to not burn any bridges, throw any stones on the way out? Yes, he is.
That's the way to leave a team, by the way.
Oh, 100%.
Holy cow.
Yep. But I also think that he probably could have done that video without saying that if he was upset about the way it went down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, man, just what a day it was for Vaughn having to leave the facility one last time. And then he actually got to go home and talk with the Broncos. I was really impressed with that as well. So really, this is the way that any person or player should leave an organization, because now, guys, we are able to talk about a potential comeback. When Demaryius Thomas left and he went on the radio and was kind of burning bridges on his way out, a couple years later, there was a lot of fans wanting DT back in a mentorship. That wasn't going to happen because it was the same owner, or it was the same management. John Elway was still the guy. And so with Vaughn, he did leave the door open for him to come back. And, man, would that be something? Maybe like even a DeMarcus Ware type of role, where maybe he's not the player that DeMarcus was when he got here, but that type of leader. And if the Broncos are able to get a younger pass rusher in here in the next couple of years with a high draft pick, have him mentor him, boy, that would be the way that you want this Von Miller story to end. That's like the fairy tale now that he's traded.
I'm not even thinking about the leadership. I'm just thinking about what he could bring as a situational player if you bring him back later. The other thing with Vaughn being able to process it, he said he was blindsided, but Albert Bree reported yesterday that the Rams and Broncos have been working on the trade, and that Vaughn knew.
Right.
George Paton told him,
but there was
and said keep quiet, and said just keep it down, don't tell anybody.
But there were other reports that said he was blindsided.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that sounds like from that he kept Vaughn in the loop.
Right, which is a nice little thing that we see from George Paton. Those are the types of things that just some GMs get wrong somehow, some way. You hear about players finding out they were traded via Twitter.
It would also explain why Vaughn didn't play on Sunday. Everybody knew, okay, something is up here. Because remember, Vaughn met the media last Thursday, and we saw with Teddy Bridgewater, for example, that he didn't meet the media a few weeks ago until it was known, okay, he's going to play.
Yep.
So with Vaughn meeting the media, I think probably as of last Thursday, it's like, okay, he's going to play. And then in the days that followed, kind of piecing the timeline together, that's when things heated up. And then it became obvious that if you're about to trade him, you can't play him.
When we talked about with John Elway throughout his tenure with the Broncos about how he negotiated hard, and I thought it was a little blown out of proportion just about how much that could hurt the Broncos in free agency in terms of bringing guys in. But I think that was a small factor into guys wanting to be here, not just with how the team is going to treat you. Excuse me. George Paton did the opposite this entire year. You look at Justin Simmons. Those contract negotiations between Justin Simmons and George Paton weren't tough. They weren't bad. George didn't let it drag on that long. Shelby Harris, same deal. And now with Von Miller, he kept him in the loop. So I don't think it's a big thing. I think it's a little feather in the cap to George Paton of, so far, he's treating his players right. He's treating them with respect. And that can help at least build a little bit of chemistry within an organization.
Well, and it should just be the baseline expectation. Like, it doesn't get you anywhere, but it keeps you from going backwards.
Sure, exactly.
All right. We missed a couple Super Chats yesterday due to some technical issues when we had a Wi-Fi thing. So I want to make sure we get those. We will get to the Super Chats that are coming in today a little bit later, but let's get these before we wrap up here in the first segment.
Yes, thank you so much to everyone who sent super chats yesterday. It just crashed and we weren't able to see those, but I did go back and screenshot some of those so that we could talk about them today. This is the first one from Jake. Love our GM, great trade value, true rebuild starts today. Now get more for Fuller and Jackson. Can't wait for a new head coach. 2022, here we come.
People are ready for it.
People are ready for it.
And I think we talked to George Paton at 4 p.m. today. I just don't expect him to come out and say rebuild, but I hope he leans into what's happening, because I think finally Broncos country, and actually I think Broncos country has been ready for this for a while, but I think he views it as, or not just him, but general managers view rebuild, saying that word, as a really bad thing that fans are going to hate. Broncos fans here are ready to accept it or something close to it.
I don't think they're even in their minds putting up a white flag on the season by trading Von Miller. But I think their perspective is probably something along the lines of, we're going to get Bradley Chubb back. Jonathan Cooper has shown some flashes. Malik Reed, for whatever reason, seems to be able to make a high leverage play. He's kind of like Shaq Barrett. Like, he'll disappear, and then when you seem to need a high leverage sack, he delivers.
Shaq Barrett.
Yeah.
In Denver. Not in Tampa, right?
In Tampa, he just delivers all the time. In Denver, it was kind of just selective. It wasn't always there. But I could see them thinking between what they still have, getting Chubb back, and refortifying inside linebacker with Kenny Young last week, that they may feel like, hey, we can be better defensively down the stretch. I'm not
sorry. Mace, I understand where you're coming from.
No, I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying that's what they internally believe.
I think he's actually right. I think that is a very big possibility that's how the Broncos are looking at this. They say, look, we have depth at the position. This is a lot of value. We can make this move without really hurting ourselves that much.
I know,
Bill Simmons
and that's
Ewing theory too. That sometimes you get rid of one that you don't have either through injury or trade, the guy who's supposedly is the alpha, and other alphas emerge, and you end up being maybe even a bit better.
Yeah, and I think that's probably how they're viewing it too. But they lost me if that's how they're viewing it.
Yeah, I think you're onto something too. Although I will agree that like the trade in a vacuum, regardless of what they do after it, is a good trade. So I'm not going to say, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
No, of course not.
All right, next one.
All right, next one here from Court Nelson. $20 super chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Court.
Vaughn can't carry a defense by himself anymore. He will thrive with the Rams since they already have a complete pass rush. Him, Donald, and Floyd will cause apocalyptic levels of chaos together from Mile High Till I Die.
I think the person who won the most out of this trade is Leonard Floyd.
Just now he'll have no double teams.
Right, he's
ever.
the third. I mean, he is a legit NFL pass rusher, and he is the third most important thing for them to focus on. Now,
He's got 6.5 sacks this year.
Right, I was going to say, maybe
Yeah.
teams are saying Vaughn is the one you have to worry about the least. Good luck.
Yeah.
So, regardless, I think that they're going to say, we got to focus on Vaughn. Mm-hmm. Leonard Floyd, congratulations. You're going for maybe 15 sacks this year.
Man, good luck to Ryan Tannehill this week without Derrick Henry, and he has to go up against this defense. And Vaughn is going, even though he's only going to be with the Rams for 5 days leading up to that game, he's going to want to show out on national television.
Remember Vaughn and DeMarcus had their Batman and Robin thing? Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they're thinking more on the lines of Justice League in Los Angeles.
Could be.
Yeah.
Because
you got to have more than two, because you got to throw Aaron Donald in there as well.
Right. In Denver, Vaughn was Dirk. Right, and Derek Wolfe was Steve Nash. So now maybe they'll have the big three out there. Hopefully they don't reference the Lakers. That would suck.
I was gonna say, yeah. Who's Russell Westbrook? Who's LeBron? And who's Anthony?
I hope Vaughn decides to embrace the Clippers as his side.
Yeah.
But I think he's friends with LeBron.
Yeah.
So
and better friends now, I bet.
Yeah. So that's probably not happening.
Yeah, probably not happening.
Are any Rams fans Clippers fans?
I don't know.
See, that's the thing. Like, you only hear about the Lakers attracting.
Are any Yankees fans Clippers fans?
Yeah.
No. I think they're all Lakers fans.
Yeah. So I mean, it would be. The Clippers seem like they're the team that would attract Chargers a little bit. Although Chris Harris Jr. is a Charger, and he's Mr. Laker fan extraordinary. Right. And actually, that's the other thing. You got Chris and Vaughn, not with the same team, but they're in the same town now. So they'll probably end up sitting together at Lakers games. So there you go.
Yep. Very well could be.
What's next, Al?
All right, we have a super chat here from Logan. I have had to explain to at least 5 people why the Vaughn trade is a good one, LOL, and also had a ton of fun at the tailgate. Thank God for the garage.
Yeah, I think we actually did get to this one yesterday. He posted it again on the next one, but appreciate that one.
Appreciate the double Logan. Super chat.
Yes, appreciate that so much. And yeah, I mean, I think more and more people are starting to come around. It's just that initial shock, which is totally understandable.
Yeah, totally understandable. And even if you know it's the right thing, it can still be tough. And that's what yesterday was. And that's what Sunday night's going to be after you watch the Broncos play the Cowboys, hopefully not get blown out. But then Sunday night, you turn it on, and Von's getting sacks in that bone-colored LA Rams uniform.
Oh, that ugly. Please, just let them wear blue or white, because they have a white jersey now. Just let them wear the blue or white jersey.
They have a white and a bone?
Yes, white is their alternate jersey. And I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes their primary change jersey, because I think a lot of people think the bone was a miss.
Right. Well, they would be
right. They wore, I think, in week 1 when they played Chicago, I believe they wore the white. And I want to say they wore it with the gold pants. Oh my God.
It's interesting to open up a season in your alternate uniform. That probably means that should be your normal uniform.
That's what I mean. I think we got the white so quickly that it's like an acknowledgement that, all right, we may have misfired on this bone thing, but the white and I think it was the yellow pants, they just look spectacular in that.
Yeah, and if you don't want to misfire on the bone, check out our friends at Manscaped. Anyways,
we got here from Jonathan saying, I only see 2 silver linings. Von will get to play for a contending team again, and he'll be able to do his grocery shopping at Von's.
Wow, how about that?
An LA reference that I do not understand.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's a grocery store out there.
Yeah.
So why couldn't he? Shouldn't he be the spokesperson for Von's?
I'm sure.
I mean,
he
that
should,
is so obvious.
But I doubt Von Miller ever steps into Von's.
I doubt that.
Unless
I bet
they
someone
carry
else.
his free-range chicken. See, this is part of it. He's, he is a food producer, right? And he's looking for more opportunities to, to sell his free-range organic chicken. Here you go. You got a grocery store with your name right there. I mean, if there are savvy marketing people around Von, and I know there are, they have to be thinking about this right now.
Yeah, you'd think so.
I don't know if they're thinking about it right now, but they'll think about it eventually.
Oh, it's never too early. It's your job when you're that marketing person to think about these things, to think on the horizon, to be 5 steps ahead.
I got to give a shout out to our guy Brian, who hit us with the super chat and said, "Girls don't break up with Zach. Zach breaks up with girls."
Yeah, what is this? What is this in reference?
Neither of those things have ever happened, I don't think.
I've had a couple heartbreaks.
Okay,
in my life.
all right.
Yeah. One, we'll say.
I thought you were just one and done.
Now, pretty much, yeah. In my recent memory.
You've been coupled for so long.
Yeah.
That's
You got to
why-
go back to the middle school heartbreaks, guys.
Middle school heartbreaks.
Do those even count?
In middle school, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the worst thing ever. Yeah.
My first real breakup was in 6th grade, so
Yeah.
that one hurt.
Yeah, it seems like it's still hurting you now.
Yeah,
It shouldn't.
left me for one of my friends.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
really tough scene.
Still a friend?
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
impressive.
And actually,
They worked it out.
I was with that friend recently and ran into her.
Wow.
So-
Talk about the circle of life right
Yeah,
there.
for real.
Okay, we have 2 more.
All right,
We'll
let's hit them.
Okay. Dylan here from today. Thank you to everyone who sent them yesterday. We're so sorry about that complication, but these are from today. Dylan here saying, I'm active duty stationed in Oklahoma, and I'm going to the Dallas game this weekend. I'm excited. Hopefully, we can get the dub.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Absolutely,
Yes,
Dylan.
thank you.
And I hope you have the best time at the game. Hopefully, the Broncos pull it off.
Yeah, man, and that would be such a cool game to be at if they pull it off, because this may be the game where they're the biggest underdogs. I mean, we're approaching a 10-point line, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it jump over that the way this line is trending. So, man, just to be at an away game for a huge upset would be awesome.
And
Dylan.
there are still going to be a lot of Bronco fans there. I mean, you're hearing about a lot of people that are going to this game. Part of it is the allure of Jerry World. Part of it is Dallas, kind of like Denver and Phoenix and Tampa and LA and other Sunbelt markets. It's a transplant market.
Yep.
And a lot of Broncos fans in the Metroplex, a lot of Broncos fans in Texas, they're going to be there.
All right, last one here.
Okay, real quick, we have Bryce here who sent a really nice message that I wanted to add on there. What's up, Zach? Thanks for replying to my DM the other day. Made my day. Hope to be like you someday.
Oh, man,
Don't we
Bryce,
all?
that just... Oh, stop, guys. Bryce, that just makes my day, and thanks so much for reaching out.
Okay, this is a super chat from Sasha. He says, Vaughn is gone. We got to move on. It sucks so bad, but the video gave me peace, and hopefully for all other fans too. Rams won't let him go. Much love, DNVR.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got to move on. You don't want to be sitting around waiting for someone to come back to you.
No.
you got to start working on you.
Yep. You do, and you hope that Malik Reed or Jonathan Cooper or Bradley Chubb, best case scenario, can steal your heart, where you miss Vaughn, but you're okay being apart, and you can cheer for him and feel happy about him being with the Rams.
And I think there's a very good chance. It's not as common these days, but it seems like something Vaughn would want to do at the very least. He'll do the one-day contract, retire as a Bronco sort of thing.
At the least.
You're right. That doesn't happen anymore.
I would
Not as much.
It doesn't. I mean, did Demaryius Thomas sign a one-day contract when he came back? I thought he did.
I don't remember.
Or he did like a video.
Wouldn't they have a ceremony for that, or like a press conference for that?
Well, he did like a video on the Broncos put out some social stuff.
Wait,
Which
bring
is
that
basically the new
comment.
the new version of that.
Shout out to the 6th grade love life. RK had my first kiss in 6th grade at church camp. Yeah, me too. It was first kiss. It was at it's called Night at the Rec.
Oh,
a little Friday night thing. Everyone goes down to the rec center.
Lights off.
Yeah.
Like
a little broom closet or something.
I see it. Yeah.
All right.
By the way, Peter Fields said that Vaughn's, it's the King Supers of California.
Yes.
Yeah, I
it's
figured
everywhere.
that
Yeah,
Like, there's Vaughn's and there's Ralph's.
Right.
So,
It's
if you-
very human.
And a lot of Trader Joe's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
All
I
right.
mean, if you have too much food and you can't handle it all, you Ralph.
Of course.
Oh, wow.
One thing that won't make you Ralph, as long as you're smart about it, is Breckenridge Brewery. The absolute best damn beers all around. They've got beers, they've got seltzers, they've got porters, they've got lagers, they've got ales. They've got it all, and they're all absolutely delicious. I truly can say I've never had a Breck brew that I didn't like, and especially if you go after the types of beers that you like, you're going to love what they have to offer over at Breckenridge Brewery. So check them out. We love when you post online showing us that you got them. And by the way, did you see in the background of Vaughn's video? He had a little 15-pack of Broncos Country Hoppy Pale Ale.
Man, that is too cool.
Yeah, so even Vaughn likes him some Breckenridge brews.
Oh, he absolutely does. And something that makes me Ralph is my betting performance over the weekend, guys. Especially the way I started Thursday night. I hit my first leg of my 0 for 0 parlay, and boy, did the Detroit Lions just completely let me down. That lost. Everything else lost. But it doesn't mean I'm done, because you got to bounce back. And I
Shooters
plan on
keep
doing
shooting.
that this weekend. Yeah, shooters keep shooting. Exactly. And I'm going to do that, of course, over at DraftKings Sportsbook, where, guys, if you bet $5, you get $200 in free bets. So it doesn't matter if you blow those $200, because it's free anyways. And then if you hit on them, boy, you just build your account up right away. So make sure to get in on everything they've got going on over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And again, bet $5 on any NFL team to win, and if they win, you get $200 on free bets for new customers. So check out the app, or check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app over at the App Store now. Download it and get in on everything they've got going on. Of course, it's not just limited to football. You can bet on basketball, baseball, hockey. You can bet on it all. And of course, DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Now, if you want to come on down to the DNVR bar, you can check out the Wi-Fi, make your bets right there. So come to the DNVR bar this Sunday, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. I'm noon Central, 11 Mountain. When the time changes start coming in, I get confused.
It comes this weekend.
I just know it's early, and 11 a.m. is the perfect brunch time at the DNVR bar. So take advantage of the brunch menu, get on the Wi-Fi, make your DraftKings bets, get some of those Breckenridge brews and hard seltzers that we've got here at the DNVR bar. And, of course, it's not just about Broncos game day. It's every game day. I believe on Saturday, do we have the quadruple header on Saturday? With Nuggets, Avs,
Yes,
TSU Rams,
Nuggets
and
are
Bucks.
at 3 o'clock. They're actually the early game.
Okay.
Then we have Avs at 5. Oh, no. It's Rams at 1:30, Nuggets at 5, Avs at 5. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, I'm trying to remember this. It's Rams at 1:30, Nuggets at 3 o'clock, then Avs at 5, and Buffs at 5. So the bar is going to be popping.
Day.
Yep.
All
What a
of it
day.
you can watch right here at the DNVR bar and check it out and enjoy that. So come Saturday, come back on Sunday, watch the Broncos, maybe pull off that upset over the Dallas Cowboys. And of course, you can come on in any day and take advantage of happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. for cheap drinks, some delicious Wagyu beef in that happy hour. Check that out as well. And of course, if you're a DNVR member, you can come to the DNVR bar and get a big beer for the price of a small beer, enhancing your experience down here at the DNVR bar.
Holy cow, really quick, guys. Mike Tomlin talking about trading Melvin Ingram. He said, it's better to have volunteers than it is to have hostages.
Whoa. God, I love Mike Tomlin.
Wow, what a quote.
If Pittsburgh ever gets stupid and parts ways with Mike Tomlin, I don't care who's coaching my team. I want Mike
Drop
Tomlin.
everything and get Mike Tomlin. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst idea. It's kind of like, the Kyler Josh Rosen thing, right?
Yes.
Like, don't hold on to something when there's a better option available.
Tomlin drops gold like that every week. I mean, there could be a book of Mike Tomlinisms.
Oh yeah. Man,
want volunteers, not hostages. That's that's brilliant.
It really is. And boy, Kyler seems to be the better player than Josh Rosen, I think. I think Arizona made the right decision.
Yeah, I think they made the right call there.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Hey, Rosen is in the NFL though, right? He's backing up Matty Ice, I believe.
I thought he was still in Tampa.
No, he was in San Francisco.
Oh, no, you're right. He is in Atlanta now.
Yeah, he's in Atlanta. Remember he had that good preseason game on Sunday Night Football, and that allowed him to stick as the backup there.
Yep.
He was slinging it.
You believe?
No.
For that moment, he looked like a first-round pick again.
He seems like he has done it perfectly because it never necessarily felt like he loved football all that much.
Yep.
But everyone loves just collecting massive paychecks.
Absolutely, and having no pressure.
Yep.
I mean, maybe he's going to be a comeback story if the Falcons decide to move on from Matt Ryan.
No.
I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it, too. If they move on from Matt Ryan, he could be a backup plan for the Broncos.
All right, guys. I want to talk about what's next for the Broncos. And I think what a lot of people have been wondering, fairly so, is who is the face of the franchise now? Who symbolizes the Denver Broncos? If they were going to get another primetime game this year, which they aren't, who would they put on the graphic? And it's a fair question, a good question, and I think there's an answer, but it's not necessarily what you're looking for. So let me start with you, Mace. Who would you go with?
Well, unfortunately, like if you think what is the face that best defines the franchise right now, it's Vic Fangio on the sideline in Cleveland asking, "What was that?"
Oh boy, I hope that's not the face.
It's a pain
of the franchise.
right now. Look, you've had 4 straight losing seasons. You're 4-4. The face of the franchise right now is a pained countenance at this point.
Wow.
Whether you like it or not, that's just because that's what defines the team. We'll get into players, and I know that's what you're getting at. But you tell me a face of the franchise. Sadly, right now it's kind of it's Vic with a pain countenance. It's Shermer in the booth, kind of putting with an Shermer with an exasperated look on his face, with his hands in the air.
Oh,
that's
boy.
the face of the franchise right now, unfortunately.
Wow. I mean, Ryan, you said it wasn't going to be good. People weren't going to like it. And I thought we were going down the route I was going to go down. And then, boy, Mace really made it dark. Yeah. And I see what you're saying, Mace. But in terms of a player, I think it's Justin Simmons.
Yeah.
And I think that's who the Denver Broncos want it to be because of how good he is off the field as well. But then you look at this, he's got the contract to be the face of the franchise. And why you don't love it is because it's a huge drop-off from Von Miller being the face of the franchise.
That's what I was going to say. Justin Simmons checks off almost every box for me in terms of being a face of the franchise. There's 2 that he doesn't. One is his position. How many face of the franchise around the league play safety?
I mean, as great as Steve Atwater was, he wasn't the face of the Broncos.
No, Ed Reed was the
face. You
face.
had John Elway.
Ed Reed wasn't even. You had Ray Lewis there.
Man.
So
I mean, Troy Polamalu.
You had Ben.
Yeah. There's always, and that's the problem.
Right.
It's not Justin's fault.
No.
It's just it's probably not the best thing if your safety is the face of your franchise. And
I can't think of anyone because I'm going through great safeties.
Hall of
right?
Famers.
Brian Dawkins. Well, they had Donovan McNabb for a long time.
And
right?
T.O.
Yeah. John Lynch. Well, they had Warren Sapp was the face of the Bucks franchise.
Right.
It's always somebody.
There's always someone else.
That's uncanny. It's always somebody else.
So that's a tough one. Yeah. And the other thing is he's just one notch below, where the type of game-changing player. Yeah, superstar.
Yep. He's a great safety.
Very, very, very good to elite safety.
Yep.
And he hasn't to be fair, played that way up until this last week. I think he played elite last week.
Yep.
But so again, it's not necessarily anything on Justin. It's more on the Broncos. Justin Simmons is a guy you want around forever.
Yep. And the Broncos made that very
But
clear.
you need to have a better player than Justin Simmons to be the face of your franchise.
Exactly. And you hope that it's finally on the offensive side of the ball. And you hope it's not Cortland Sutton, because Broncos had that on the offensive side of the ball with Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders for a couple of years after Peyton went. It's just so clear, guys. It has to be the quarterback. I mean, look at these teams that we point out Hall of Fame safeties, and we say, but he wasn't the face of the franchise because they had a quarterback.
Right, yeah.
And so obviously we know all roads point to quarterback, but hopefully this second and third round pick that George Payton just got for Von Miller is to use for a quarterback in some form or
way,
fashion.
yep.
Some way, one way or the other. And that's what you're hoping for, because if it's not that guy, I mean, who could it be? Maybe in a year or two, are you talking about Pat Surtain? Because Champ Bailey was the face of the franchise. And that's like on defense, if you're going to be the face of a franchise, you got to be a pass rusher extraordinaire like Von Miller, or a lockdown corner like Champ.
Yeah, but face of the franchise comes with a lot of other things than just talent. You know, you have to be charismatic. You have to, be able to, do it up with the media a little bit. You have to be able to, go out in the community. And obviously everyone can do that. Right. But there's a lot of things that go into being a face of the franchise player. And that's why I say Justin Simmons checks off almost every single box.
Yep.
But it should be a quarterback.
Yep.
Period.
It absolutely should be a cornerback. So
Quarter,
yes,
Yeah.
definitely quarterback. Who else are maybe cornerstone pieces of this organization? Because the way that I view it, guys, I think there's two different ways to view this. One is there are guys that are cornerstones because of the contracts they have. There's no doubt about it. Bowles, Justin Simmons. Now, you could probably fit Justin into two categories, but then there's other guys that maybe don't have a contract yet or have started playing well after they got a not as sizable of a contract. I mean, who do you guys think the cornerstone players are?
I think Pat Surtain is becoming a cornerstone player.
I do too.
I think they'd like Jerry Jeudy to become a cornerstone player, but the jury is, because he lost the last 2 months.
Was that a Judge Judy reference?
Yeah, there you go.
The jury is still out?
The jury is still out on Jeudy.
I personally
at this
think
point.
any first round pick that doesn't have question marks yet is a cornerstone of your organization. Now, Noah Fant, there's question marks this year, so
Speaking
don't
of
think
question marks.
Wow.
Did you see the liked tweets from Noah Fant last night?
Yeah, one of ours was in there.
It was a quote tweet of us. Here's the thing.
Here's
Players-
the thing about Noah Fant.
Players do this stuff. And it's a weird passive aggressive thing. Maybe not aggressive. It's a passive way of like showing fans like, hey, I see what you're tweeting about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to mean he's saying like, yeah, I agree, they should trade me. Because if you look through it, he also just likes things like, oh, Noah Fant's a bust. Little things like that where he's saying like, yeah, I see this. I'm going to show you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, and also I think it's a little weird way of showing fans like you aren't tweeting anonymously. You know what I mean? Like, I see this.
Right.
It's kind of humanizing, right? If you say something like that about someone and then you find out that they saw it.
People do kind of back off.
They will, of course.
I think we've all kind of learned that in our own interactions as well.
Yep.
People say something like, oh yeah, somebody real is actually hearing this.
Right.
This.
So it doesn't have to mean that he was also hoping to be traded, but I don't blame anyone who certainly thinks it does mean that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree.
And the other thing so I put out a poll during the game on Sunday. Who's better, Alberto, Noah Fant? Alberto won in a landslide.
Yeah, I bet he did.
And it brings up an interesting point because all the people who are defending Noah Fant said he isn't used in the right way. Alberto is being used the right way for his talents, and they're saying no, Noah isn't, because you know what people have in their mind when they think of Noah Fant is him catching the ball at 3 yards. And they're like, why is he catching the ball at 3 yards, but Albert catches it at 15? They want to see more downfield routes for him. What I would say is I think they're there. he just doesn't get the ball on them. Does that mean he's not open? Does it mean Teddy's missing him? I don't know. But usually when Teddy sees him, it's as a last-ditch effort to dump it off, whereas Albert, man, feels like he's always open.
It does. It really does. And also, you get to that 1 yard that you need. And it comes down between Alberto and Noah Fant. Not that we've seen Alberto make a ton of these, but we did see it in the Giants game, didn't we? Before he got hurt, he got that touchdown.
I think we saw it this Sunday. He turned one up.
Yep. I think you're right. And then just seems like week and week and week, we see Noah Fant just get hit and he goes down right away, especially when he's a yard away.
Was Alberto the one who dove on the sidelines and they ended up going back and saying he stepped out? Was that... I think that happened in the game on Sunday.
Yep.
But I just loved seeing that he was like trying to extend for the first down.
Well, he had the touchdown in week 1 where he just kept the play alive and he lunged for the goal line.
Yep.
I mean, that's and that's the contrast right now. Now, we don't see Alberto being asked to pass pro and run block the way that Noah Fant is. And I think
someone's got to do it.
Yeah, someone's got to do it. But Alberto's got to learn if he wants to be a complete tight end, or they need to change things up schematically to where Alberto and Noah Fant are operating as jokers, and when they want, and I mean the football term, not that they're kind of joking around. And then when you want a blocking tight end, you have Eric Saubert there, who is providing the work on the edge. Because look, that Melvin Gordon fumble, that happens because Noah Fant gets whipped by Chase Young.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's regressed a little bit as a blocker.
It does.
Okay, moving back to your original point. Who are the cornerstones? It's Justin Simmons, it's Jerry Jeudy, it's Pat Surtain, and I'll get to that in a second. Is it Cortland Sutton?
Not yet.
Okay, I would be willing to say yes.
Okay, and that's fair. Will the Broncos make him one?
And that's to be seen. I think George Payton has a crush on him and will do so.
Man, what I don't like about that is, and of course it all comes back to quarterback, but having two cornerstone players at wide receiver, I think you've built your team wrong if you don't have that lethal passing. Even if you do have a great quarterback, great quarterbacks don't need two great wide receivers. They don't need two great wide receivers plus two good running backs plus two good tight ends. They don't need that. So he probably is, but it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, and you're kind of thinking of team construction, because if you can get Noah Fant right, and I think probably with Fant, better use of him will get him right maybe next year. He's still a guy that you have the fifth-year option on, so you can kind of plan for another couple more years. You have Tim Patrick, who you can probably re-sign Tim Patrick today at 30% of what it would cost to re-sign Cortland Sutton in the offseason.
Well, I think even less, yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think is something you have to think about here is allocation of resources, so Patrick can kind of fill the role of the steady veteran while Jerry Jeudy develops, and then you still get KJ Hamler back. You have Alberto kind of working his way up. I don't know. I don't know if paying $18-19 million to Cortland Sutton is the best use of resources, especially like you guys say. You got to pay if you're bringing in a veteran quarterback, you got to pay that guy. Now, if you've decided you're going to make the transition to a young quarterback and maybe have a 1-year veteran stopgap while that young quarterback develops, then it behooves you to pay Cortland Sutton. I mean, really, we may get kind of a hint as to their plans based on what they do with Sutton.
Right. Yep. Guys, unfortunately, Broncos don't have a cornerstone player on the offensive line. Contractually, they do to Garrett Bowles, but I don't think he's a cornerstone player the way he's been playing throughout his career and this year. And then also, I think on the defensive line, you don't have a cornerstone player either.
Yeah, it's... the more you take the microscope onto this team, the more it becomes obvious why they're in the position that they are.
Right.
I just want to quickly say, speaking of Justin Simmons as a cornerstone piece, and of course, the current face of the franchise, I would say, on Sunday, this has maybe gotten buried a little bit since, which is why I want to bring it up. We dropped our brand new shirt that we worked on with Justin Simmons. He worked with us on this, which is just another cool thing about Justin Simmons. And I absolutely love this thing. It's got that retro look, that that cartoon look that you love so much, Mace. Got
beautiful.
the skyline in there,
the
the
city,
mountains,
the mountains.
the old school colors.
That's beautiful. It is beautiful. And you even got Justin. He does that finger wag after, he gets a PBU or something. He was doing it this week.
Good
as
timing.
well.
That's what I mean. Right after he did it on Sunday.
Yeah, so shout out to Justin for working with us on that one.
Yep.
And shout out, of course, to D-Line for, as always, nailing the hell out of the design.
I love the retro vibe. Is that something that Justin insisted on? Was kind of that retro vibe to it?
You'd have to ask Eric about it. Justin, we've done this with a lot of players now.
Yeah.
Some players are very meticulous. Can you change this? Can you change that? Can you change it? Justin, unsurprisingly, was like, "Hey, you guys are the pros."
Yep.
So
That's an
he
awesome
was
shirt.
he had ideas, but he wasn't very picky.
Extremely fitting as we're talking about him being the face of the franchise too.
Yes.
What a perfect thing to wear is the face of the franchise.
And man, that thing looks good.
It does.
So
it really does.
Head over to DNVRlocker.com and grab you one up if you like it as much as we do.
I mean, you have the perfect ensemble. You can go get your Justin Simmons jersey, and then you can have your Justin Simmons shirt to go with it.
Yep. You got it all. And if you have pretty much everything in your life, but you still need to take care of things below the belt, check out our friends over at Manscaped, where, of course, they have every single product you can need pretty much for your body now. They really started below the belt, but now they have it all for you. They've got the body wash in the shower, and you can use that body wash right after you groom below the belt, because the Lawnmower 4.0 is, of course, waterproof. It, of course, has that wireless charging, which makes the battery life last so long. It, of course, has that LED light, so you can shave in the shower in the dark, and this Lawnmower 4.0 can do that. And, of course, when you're over at Manscaped, check out the Performance Package 4.0, and you can also get the Weed Whacker in the Performance Package 4.0, which helps with ear, nose hair, everything it can get. So with Manscaped, you're covered from top to bottom with everything they have. And of course, use the code DNVR over at manscaped.com to get 20% off and free shipping. Check them out, manscaped.com. Use that promo code DNVR and you'll get 20% off and free shipping.
Also, check out our friends over at Ball. Maybe you want to work with Zach's Aunt Julie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out Aunt Julie.
Yes. What is her job over at Ball, by the way?
You know what? She's on the business side, I believe, finance department.
Okay. Well, they're looking for production technicians, but you know what? At Ball, if you become a production technician, it doesn't mean that's what you're going to do forever, because there are plenty of people who've gone from working on the floor helping make aluminum cans as those production techs to working upstairs, to working in plenty of roles over at Ball. There's a chance for you to grow if you work there, and they're looking for production technicians right now. What they do is they directly impact the volume of production that they run, the quality production they run, and they're integral to their operations. So you can be a production tech. You can check that out by going to jobs.ball.com and searching for Golden. The production techs, they're on the front line of the aluminum beverage can production process at Ball's plants. They pay $27.39 per hour with potential for increase in salary at 6, 12, and 18 months on the job. Being a production tech offers a lot of other exposure to a lot of other roles in manufacturing and also even throughout the offices of Ball as well. They help make some of those 101 billion cans that we talk about here on the podcast. A can that I've got in my hand right now. There's a koozie around it if you're watching on camera, but you know what I'm talking about. Ball makes cans like the ones that I'm enjoying my delicious Coke Zero, and Ball makes those cans that you can enjoy those delicious Breckenridge brews in, and they're continuing to expand their operations right here in the Denver area, right there in Golden. So if you want to get in on things at Ball and be unstoppable at Ball, then text Golden to 77222 and you'll be linked to open positions, or go to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. That's jobs.ball.com, search for Golden, or text Golden to 77222 and you can be an unstoppable production technician over at Ball and Golden.
Finally, it's the holiday season. A lot of people looking to save money in different areas so that you can spend money on your family and friends. And there's no better place to do it than at Mint Mobile. Guys, whatever you're spending on your mobile plan, I guarantee you it is way more than you need to be spending, because Mint Mobile has kind of fixed the system. There's so much money that these big wireless companies are spending on these brick and mortar stores all over the country, and you then have to pay for those stores, which you don't even like going into. It's a nightmare going in those places. You have to pay for them with your wireless bill. Mint Mobile decided, let's go all online and make it a much cheaper experience for the customer while delivering the same type of coverage that they need. And right now, they've got it even better for the holidays for you. When you buy a 3-month plan from Mint Mobile, they're going to hook you up with the next 3 months for free. It's awesome, and they are really high quality stuff. Guys, they hooked us up with the Mint Mobile setup. And basically what they do is they send you a SIM card, you put it into your phone, and you're ready to go. It works fantastically. I've yet to have a single issue with it.
Nope.
It's not too good to be true. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. So sign up for a 3-month Mint Mobile plan, get 3 months free. And again, you can get these plans as low as $15 a month. That's probably 10% of what you might be paying. So check out our friends over at Mint Mobile. Get that, buy 3 months, get 3 months free when you go to mintmobile.com/DNVR. That's mintmobile.com/DNVR.
And get the best service out there at a fraction of the price.
Amen.
Should we hop into the comments
Let's
section?
do it.
All right, first one coming in from Mile High Till I Die says, so the Jets beat the Bengals beat the Ravens beat us, and we shut out the Jets? Not sure what to make of that, but have there been enough games this season that made no sense that make me feel like the Broncos just might be able to win some games they're not supposed to? I'd like to see this coaching staff fired immediately, but I don't think that means we need to lay down and die for better draft picks. My hope for the rest of the season is that we wholesale commit to the run, we play our younger guys to build confidence and experience and win a couple of games that no one thinks we should have. I think we could do that and still have justification for moving on from this coaching staff anytime between now and the end of the season.
Well, I think if they don't make the playoffs, you're almost certainly going to see a coaching staff change. That's kind of the mandate that I've heard is thrown around right now. So that's still kind of a high bar to clear. Now, that being said, look at the Chiefs last night. Does that yes, they have Patrick Mahomes. Does that look like an impressive team right now?
Absolutely not.
And they have a schedule, as has been pointed out by a lot of people this morning. They don't face a team that currently has a losing record the rest of the way. Of course, it helps the Broncos are 4-4. But the point being, all of a sudden you look at the Chiefs and think, hey, the Giants hung with them. The Broncos can get things right. Why can't the Broncos hang with them?
Yeah, I think there's a symbol of a true rivalry, like when a fan base really hates someone, when a win over that team could cure a lot of ailments for the current team, the coaching staff, whoever it may be. Bill McCartney used to say, like, we hate Nebraska so much that if we beat them, that's about all that matters. And now obviously you have to have a good. Yeah, back then you had to have a good team to beat them. So,
right.
But that's kind of where I'm at with the Chiefs. Like, I think Broncos fans, one win over the Chiefs would go a really long way.
Yeah, it really would.
And it's probably not gonna save people's jobs, although it could be a puzzle piece of doing so. But a win over the Chiefs would really, really mean a lot to Broncos fans right now, and they're ripe for the picking. I have to be honest, my confidence level isn't all that high that they can do it, though.
Yeah, they're going through a season kind of like the Packers had a couple of these seasons with Aaron Rodgers. Just because you have a great quarterback, and the Broncos, if you're an old school Bronco fan, you might remember 1995 and 11, right there in the middle of the John Elway era. Just because you have a great Hall of Fame quarterback doesn't mean you're not going to have a season where you're off. And the Chiefs are off this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They certainly are.
Next one's Alaska Preston. VJ and Vic can both go do something.
Okay.
And if Elway was any other GM, not the legend he is, I'd say he could join them. Does DraftKings have an over-under on how many times Vaughn will drop into pass coverage the rest of the year? I would set the line at 0.5.
I'll give it 1.5.
Okay. It's possible. It's possible.
He goes to drop into coverage and be effective. I was watching some highlights of Super Bowl 50 last night, and Von Miller makes a play on Jericho Coxery.
Yep, he
in
does
coverage.
down the sideline.
But that was nearly 6 years ago. Though.
Yeah, and it was still like not a staple of the defense. It was a joker card that you could
a
pull
one-off.
out.
Yeah.
Goes on. Looks like the DNVR bar will be the only bright spot of the season this year. On a happier note, wanted to thank you all for your hospitality. It was great meeting everyone, watching the pod, and hanging out and talking. Y'all are so kind beyond words. I very much can't wait to come back, even if it means I got to watch another Broncos game. If I can make a burger recommendation, get the Joker burger at the bar, but substitute the blue cheese for the green chili cream cheese. You won't be sorry. That sounds incredible because it's got like little fried jalapenos on
Those are
there.
so freaking good.
And there's like a blueberry glaze, I think.
I love the little bit of sweet.
Yes, the little bit of sweet is really, really nice. So it goes on, and you can also get that with a chicken breast instead of a burger, which I actually love for that style. It says, go to the DNVR bar. Go DNVR the bar. You guys for always helping us see the silver lining. And all us fans sad to see Vaughn leave. Vaughn. And, of course, Iceman.
We love you, Alaska Preston. Thank you so much, and it was awesome to meet you last week.
And Iceman. We love you, too.
Oh,
if
we
you're
do
still
love you,
out there
Iceman.
listening.
Jason17 says, as hard as it is to admit this was the right move, and we got great value for him. Do you think part of the reason he was traded was because of the Harris and Draymond's performance in yesterday's game, as well as Jonathan Cooper's emergence?
No.
I think the reason he was traded is because the Broncos got the right deal.
Yep, exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah, and the fact is that there's every indication this thing was in the works before the game anyhow.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And if you're moving on from Von Miller for a 7th round pick and an undrafted guy, you're probably not doing it entirely right. There has to be other things.
Yep.
Melvin Broncos says, hi guys, finally a sign from George Payton that the defense first era is ending. Stage 1, offload players for picks. Teddy, Melvin, Fant. Stage 2, employ younger offensive-minded coaches. Stage 3, get a new owner. Stage 4, get a superstar quarterback. First time in months, I think there is a future. Hurry up, 2022.
Like I said yesterday, and this is something I shared with a lot of people who reached out to me, is I at least feel like George Payton has a plan. And maybe his plan isn't to trade everyone, but he clearly has a plan that he's trying to execute, and that gives me comfort because, as I've mentioned, I've talked to people who have been in and out of the organization over the last 5-6 years, and one of the things they said is they never necessarily felt like John Elway had a plan.
The plan was short term. The plan was, okay, can we just tweak this, tweak that, and get it right, and we're right back in the groove. And unfortunately, that is also a lot like Mike Shanahan's plan for most of his last several years on the job. It was always like, okay, we need to do better on third down, so let's tweak this. Let's bring in a bunch of Cleveland Browns defensive linemen. It was always about chasing, thinking that you were really close. And
Right.
and both John Elway and Mike Shanahan in his later years as in the executive part of his role were guilty of that.
Quick super chat I want to hit here from Team Jokic. Where did you go to college and what did you go for? Well, I went to the University of Colorado.
Really?
I know that's hard to
okay.
believe. I studied broadcast journalism and communication.
I went to the University of Denver. Hello, my name is Zach Stevens. I went to the University of Denver and I studied political science.
University of Missouri and University of South Florida studied journalism and communications.
Nice. All
that.
right, now we can move on.
There we go.
Thanks
Steve
for the
Jokic.
super chat. Next one's from The Outlaw. Am I right on that?
Yes.
I hate that this was the right move for the team and for Vaughn. He's been a Bronco for almost half of my life, and when he was drafted, it was right around the time I went from being a kid just casually watching the team to being a diehard fan. He's been Mr. Bronco for the last decade, and it sucks to see him go. After the trade, a friend of mine asked me who the face of the team is, and I had to say we don't have one, which is the sad truth we're facing right now. Hopefully we get that guy in next year's draft. At least I have DNVR to get me through the rest of the season.
Yeah, and very fitting for what we just talked about, and pretty much said that exact same thing.
And I love that we can be that for you. It's funny, yesterday, for the first time in a long time, I thought about like where I was when the Broncos drafted Von Miller, and I just remember thinking like there's hope, like this guy, he's so awesome.
Yep. Speaking of college, I was in my fraternity when they drafted him.
Okay, yeah, freshman year would it have been?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Wow.
I can say that because Zach and I are the same age.
Yeah.
From Von Miller's Chicken Farm. Howdy, gents. I'm happy to see Von have the opportunity to chase another ring or two and be well utilized. I was fortunate enough to go to school with Von at A&M and drink with him regularly at the
Speaking of
Northgate
college.
bars. As a lifelong Broncos fan, it was so exciting to me when he came to Denver. I'm a bit peeved at the organization on this one. Not for the trade, as it was likely the best for all parties moving forward, but for the lack of public acknowledgement. Interesting. How does someone that meant so much for so long not wear an oppressor? Okay, from Peyton, Fangio, hell, even Elway. Seems a disservice to a Broncos legend. Anyone remember the days Elway stepped in and preached the Broncos moving forward would be about transparency and not operate in the shadows? Not his gig anymore, but seems to be a whiff and a bit short-sighted for what Vaughn has meant. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, they weren't going to have a press conference with anybody until after the deadline. And George Payton is going to do his press conference today, 4 p.m. Mountain Time, after the deadline.
And I would say, like, on social media, I would say they really went out of their way to be extra acknowledging. I mean, the profile photo right now says, "Thank you, 58."
And what I would say, too, is this comment was probably left before last night, just where it is in the comment section, and they didn't get a lot of stuff out right away because the trade took many hours for it to become official, and they couldn't, just the Broncos social team really couldn't. So I understand if you left this comment then, why you were like, no one's talking about, what are the Broncos doing? Just ignoring this. It just takes a little bit of time.
I will say it would have been nice, like, obviously George Payton was scheduled to talk today. What if they brought John Elway in? You know, I don't. Maybe he was in LA.
Maybe,
but it would have been nice for John. You know, the guy who has been here with him for the whole time. I mean, really the only John Elway, Joe Ellis, and Brandon McManus are the only people around the organization, maybe Greek, who have been here the whole time.
There's one thing though, and it is that you're trying to fight the perception that John Elway is still pulling the strings. So
that's true.
I think perception or reality, depending on who you ask.
Perception.
So I think what you should do is say the person who's going to be out there is George Payton.
That's fair.
He's the football executive. It's his show.
Maybe John could have done a little video on his Twitter.
I think the Broncos just released a video when we were doing this pod of John in video.
Okay, that works. But I understand the sentiment that you wish you could have seen it a little sooner.
Yeah, very fair. Broncos 502 says, hear me out. Vaughn and Peyton game plan to send Vaughn to the Rams for 2 picks to help them land Rodgers or Wilson after the season, and then Vaughn, as a free agent, re-signs with Denver. He did say Broncos for life. Very
unlikely, but Vaughn is the type of team player who would sign up. He's like, that's a crazy idea, but it just might work.
And you know what? In the meantime, I get to go to L.A. instead of being in the Denver winter, and I get to go chase a ring. Not bad.
It's the Aroldis Chapman plan, right?
Right.
Yes.
He goes to the Cubs, gets his ring, comes back to the Yankees.
While just being less of a POS.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
A lot less.
From Steve is the worst. Been a while, friends. Hope all is well. It's with a heavy heart that I write this. Vaughn gave me my first Super Bowl that I could truly appreciate because it was in my later years. That said, this was the right thing to do. I don't trust this team to beat most of the teams remaining. Therefore, I feel it's the best if we trade anyone that is in the future plans and let George work these next 6 years with a Super Bowl in mind, or 2. There has to be some future value in that, or all will be lost. Need an effing QB. Thoughts? Be well, homies. I, for one, will be crying myself to sleep for the next year or so.
Oh, no. And I'm sure last night's video did not help at all. Or seeing Vaughn say that he's in L.A. as a Ram today.
The one that really got me was there was an alternate angle of the Vaughn Carr interview that got an earlier part where he was legit choked up. Not just like you could see his eyes were like glazed with tears a little bit. He was like barely able to speak. That one got me.
Yeah, that was tough. And you're right. Steve is the worst. The Broncos, in the worst way possible, need a quarterback, and all roads lead back to that.
It sure does. PS2, I'm going to go on a major Teddy rant. Oh, lovely. I know you guys advocated for Teddy, but this team is not good enough to win with below-average quarterback play. He consistently throws the ball way too short of the first down. And if the receiver is not completely open, he's not throwing the ball. You have 2 guys who are 6'4" and have amazing catch radius. Give them a chance to make a play. Another thing, I don't think this offensive line is as bad as everyone says it is. I think Teddy holds onto the ball too long, causing the offensive line to give up more sacks. He has more sacks so far than Drew Lock had all last season. He has the sixth best time to throw out of all quarterbacks. Lock gives you a better chance of scoring points. Just deal with the turnovers. In worst case scenario, if Lock is as bad as the coaching staff thinks, we get a better draft pick. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think your argument makes sense, but just the fact is, with this coaching staff in place, if there's a chance, and at 4-4, there is absolutely a chance, in their mind at least, that things can be done this year. And as George Payton said in his statement last night, our goal is still to win. I'm curious if he mellows up a little bit on that today, or if he says, this year our goal is still to win. So it's just really hard for me to say that that's going to happen, because with this coaching staff, it's just not PS2.
I think he'll get up and say that the goal is to win. He'll point out that they're a half game out of the last playoff spot.
Yep.
Something. I think he's going to say everything's still in place. And one of the things with Bridgewater is his equation for success involves not turning the ball over. Now, he didn't have a turnover Sunday that he was responsible for. Could have had. Washington had its hands on the interception, dropped it. And if Teddy is doing that, there's no reason. If he's turning the ball over, there's no reason to play him.
You want to know the most damning stat I've seen? And let me just get it right, because I know where it came from. It came from Jeff Legwald today. And it starts to read as if it should be a feather in the cap of Teddy Bridgewater. He's going through the first 8 starts of last season for Drew Lock and the first 8 starts for Teddy Bridgewater this year. And when you look at the raw numbers, Teddy looks so much better, right? It's 229 yards or 220 yards for Drew, 239 for Teddy. It's 55% completions for Drew. It's 70% completions for Teddy. It's 11 interceptions for Drew. It's 5 interceptions for Teddy. It's 7 touchdowns for Drew. It's 13 touchdowns for Teddy. So especially with the cupcake schedule they started with, the offensive production should be blowing Drew Lock's out of the water, right?
Right.
No. The Broncos, led by Teddy Bridgewater this season, are scoring 0.3 points less per game than they were with Drew Lock at 7 touchdowns to 11 interceptions and 55% completions. That is so damning against the Teddy Bridgewater offense. No matter how much better his stat lines look, the Broncos are producing less. So I'm not making some big case for Drew to come in and be the starter. What I'm saying is neither of these guys are it.
They're not it. But what's their points per possession? Because they're playing at a different pace, and that's where the fact that
I don't care about points per possession.
No, I do.
I care about scoring points.
I do, and the way this team is built, it matters, because what happens time and again, if you have short possessions and you had a higher turnover rate like Drew Lock did last year, you're putting the defense in a bad position, and that's that. And also another thing, league wide on a per game basis, scoring is down league wide 1.6 points a game from last year.
It's just what I'm saying is,
I mean, just saying
70% completions and almost a 3-to-1 touchdown interception rate isn't getting you crap.
That is crazy.
They're basically two,
and that's also a Shermer problem.
No, they're two different paths to the same destination.
Sure, that's what I'm
Drew Lock
saying.
And Bridgewater are, and with this team, it probably if Bridgewater isn't turning the ball over, that's fine. But the problem is the last few weeks he has turned the ball over.
Yeah,
and if he is, there's no reason to play him because that is his differential advantage over Drew Lock, because he doesn't have Drew Lock's raw arm talent.
And they just aren't scoring. Like, just put the damn football in the end zone, man. It shouldn't be this hard. It's 2021.
Negative, false, positive says John Elway and Von Miller, 1 and 2. This trade will show how Vic has been criminally misusing Von. He'll have 10 sacks with the Rams. I wouldn't bet against it.
And I'll also say that, I didn't mention this yesterday. I mentioned my biggest disappointment is the Broncos failed to give Von another chance on this contract. And obviously having that contract made it a little harder, but they never even put together a decent team. Other than, of course, that first year, which wasn't really putting anything together. It was just rolling it over. I also am disappointed that I think Vic Fangio failed in his usage of Von Miller. And Zach, we said this from the first day we ever heard Vic Fangio on a podium. It's like he doesn't sound that excited about Von Miller.
He didn't. And Bradley Chubb was his guy. Bradley Chubb was the superstar of this defense for Vic, and I think Vic tried to make that happen.
And it never happened.
It did not. No.
And you got less out of Von, and that's another big disappointment for me.
But one thing that's going to help Von in Los Angeles is you're going to have Aaron Donald.
Of course.
A lot of attention.
Exactly.
You mentioned Leonard Floyd, but Aaron Donald is first in the league the last 5 years in quarterback pressures. So with all respect to Draymond Jones and Shelby Harris,
No. Yeah.
in terms of that specific aspect of the game. Now, Shelby Harris does, in terms of pressures and then batted passes, does have a nice rate of having an impact on a play, comparable to Aaron Donald. But in terms of purely rushing the passer, Donald is a unicorn of an interior defensive lineman.
The Big T says, I know it's a few years since I've said this, but it holds true now. I don't want mercenaries to help us win. I want players who want to be here. I want Broncos guys. You can tell where this is going, I'm sure. I know I'm not your typical fan, as I don't care that much about winning. I had to read that again, as I don't care much about winning. I want to be entertained in close, good, quality football matches, ideally in the playoffs. But even above all that, I just want to build a team and culture as a Broncos unit, a family of sorts, and this move goes strongly against that. I hate that the league is very much a business, and this stinks, and it's so cold. And to prove my opinions above, it dawned on me last night that I would rather lose every game with Miller than win every game without him. That's the cold, hard truth. As I said, I'm not your typical fan, and I may ridicule my opinion as you see fit, or you may ridicule my opinion as you see fit. Everyone else does. Nevertheless, I am on a proper downer today, clinging onto the glimmer of hope we take those picks and re-sign Von after his contract expires this year. Please. Peace out, all, from a very miserable Big Tabowski.
You know what? I think Big Tabowski would have been much happier being a fan before free agency. When players basically were tied to their teams, and if they didn't re-sign with that team, well, they're not playing anymore. I mean, basically, that era is not coming back. It goes back to Curt Flood challenging the reserve clause in baseball. It's, that the era of being able to rely on a player being a part of that team forever. Part of it was that they were so forcefully connected to teams. And with all respect, Big Tabowski, I don't want to go back to that era. It's not fair to the players.
Yeah, I'll just say this. I'm never going to tell anyone how they should be a fan. So I understand that that's the way you view it. What I will say is it's never going to change. So you're going to keep having to go through these heartbreaks, which it sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is a business. It quite literally is a business. It's about making money. And so it's there's gonna be moments like this.
Yep, there certainly will be moments like this. Next one from Dan Burke. He says, "Hey guys, so I know a lot of the success will be determined by what they do with the picks, but how do y'all rank moves that Peyton has made to acquire draft capital? 1, trading Vaughn, or I guess this is his ranking. 1, trading Vaughn for 2020 second and third. 2, trading Trinity Benson for the equivalent of 2022 fifth. 3, trading down from pick 76 to pick 98 and drafting Quinn Miners, and picking up pick 105, Baron Browning. Unless Teddy gets traded for a first before the deadline, I still think the Benson move is the best one. He spent a lot of time as a healthy scratch in Detroit and has been completely ineffective when he has played. But plus, that 5th is projected to be the first pick in the 5th round. What do y'all think?"
What
a really good point.
Great! I had forgotten about that deal, and obviously the Broncos have needed the wide receiver depth a couple times. Would have been nice to have him, but my God, has he been ineffective out there? I mean, they basically used Trinity Benson carving up second and third stringers, and turned that into a 5th round pick. Really, really special move.
Yeah, very good move, and I like all of those moves that you pointed out.
And I like Trinity Benson, just to be clear, but he wasn't worth a 5th round pick.
I'm shocked that a team gave that up for him.
Yep. Bumpy Buffalo. Fellas, it's been a while as life has taken its toll. I hope everyone is healthy and well. 1, RK, do you buy your Buffs tickets or season tickets? Drop a line on the pod if you don't have season tickets, where to reach you, as I can get them from work. I do have season tickets for both football and basketball, but I appreciate that, and maybe we can hook up some other Buffs fans. 2, Von Miller will win a Super Bowl MVP with the Rams. I'm calling it now. Wow. That would be 2 Super Bowl MVPs, guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, without a doubt, especially getting it in the LA market.
Yep. 3, Mr. B. 4, what realistic odds do you put on the playoffs? Chiefs look like a joke, and the Chargers going to Charger. So is 9 and 8 possible for the last wild card spot? I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
he'll be competitive.
Yep.
Man, wouldn't that be something?
But the Browns lost, and the Steelers got back into it. That's sort of where it gets interesting. You start bringing in basically the entire AFC North into play when it comes to the wild card spot. Everybody in the AFC North is 500 or better.
Just like the AFC West.
Yeah. So where does it come from? And that is where, unfortunately, right now, if you're talking about the Broncos being in the mix for that last spot, they've got a head-to-head L to the Steelers, a head-to-head L to the Browns.
Yeah,
That's bad.
Guys, wouldn't it be something if the Broncos and Chiefs week 17, or week 18,
game 17,
they're playing for the chance to go to the playoffs?
It
In
would be
Denver.
awesome if they won. Otherwise, it would suck.
Yep, it really would be. I agree. Next one from Mile High Buckeye. My boys. Oh, boy, where to begin. That win on Sunday was brutal. One of the worst games offensively I've ever seen. The last-minute possession was borderline poverty status, and it just screams bad coaching.
I agree.
How are we 4-4 right now? Well, you did play
Played some really bad teams.
Everyone is against a losing team. And
A significantly losing team.
yes. And now Von Miller is gone too. I'm actually not as excited about traveling to Dallas this weekend for the game as I was before. I'm going to be missing a great sports weekend in Columbus, CBJ and crew games, to go watch this game. Hopefully the boys pull off a miracle in Dallas and it will all be worth it. Maybe I can meet up with Mace? Keep on rocking, fellas. Long live DNVR. Cheers, Alex.
Let me just say really quick. If people are wanting to go to Columbus Blue Jackets and crew games
Hey.
instead of your games, you have gone terribly
Why?
awry.
That's if
No,
you're-
I agree with
if
Rocky.
if you're in Columbus and you're a pro sports fan, NHL and Major League Soccer, that's your hill, that's your beans. I am not going to talk down about that because
will.
that's
Yeah.
what's there in your backyard. That's supporting your town, your team.
I get that.
yes.
But if you're disappointed that you're, as a Broncos fan, if you're disappointed that you're missing those games for a Broncos game,
there's
something
also-
has gone terribly
There's
wrong.
also
which
the cost.
Several things
There's
have.
also the cost involved because you're paying for plane tickets to fly from Columbus to Dallas Fort Worth. You're paying for a relatively expensive ticket. I can't imagine that a Columbus crew ticket is as expensive as a Cowboys Broncos ticket.
course
No.
But it's.
But I'm also I'm wearing a Rapids jacket, so I'm going to defend.
I'm all about the
supporting-
Rapids, but if someone said
supporting
look,
the hometown soccer team.
if people are saying things like, "Man, I can't decide if I want to go to the Rapids or Broncos games this week," something has gone terribly wrong. And again, we already know
Right.
several things have gone terribly wrong.
Yep. Tons of things have.
Look, I mean the Rapids are a playoff.
They
team.
are, yes.
I mean, they're playing at home on Sunday, right? I believe. I think they have a home match on Sunday.
They might.
Yes.
I actually support the decision. If you say you would rather go to the Rapids game than watch the Broncos, I'm just saying that's a really big indictment of the Broncos in their
It's-
current state.
It is.
It's a big indictment. Yes. Next one from PigTosser66. Yo, fellas, rough day for Broncos country. Obviously, the trade was the right move, but it doesn't help deal with the emotions when you're talking about a legend like Vaughn. As Elway said, he came here when we needed him the most, and he was the piece that got us headed in the right direction, and ultimately was the biggest reason why this franchise has a third Lombardi. Watching him say goodbye yesterday just showed why this fan base fell in love with him. Thank you, Vaughn. We'll miss you. I'm glad he isn't wearing 58 in LA because him and that number that number is only for us. I'll be following you out here in SoCal and cheering you on. Now my takeaways from the Washington football game. 1, Alberto is undoubtedly better than Noah Fant. 2, Kenny Young is a baller. 3, Mr. B. 4, Justin Simmons is back. 5, fumble aside, Melvin Gordon is our best offensive player right now. And 6, this team will never be anything more than average with the philosophy and coaching staff that we currently have. We make everything look 10 times more difficult than it should be, especially on offense. First downs feel like touchdowns when I watch, and that is pathetic.
Maybe you savor things a little bit more, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
First downs really do feel like touchdowns.
They do.
Touchdowns feel like
Super Bowls.
like Hail Marys.
Yeah. Seriously.
From Hip Hip, Hooray.
Hooray.
Hey guys, wow, don't really know what to say. Listening to the post-game show in real time on Sunday, and I could help but wish that Hank had his tinfoil hat on when he said there's a reason that we didn't play Vaughn on Sunday. Well, I think the answer is clear as day now. Bummer. On a lighter note, can we just call this year the year of Mace already? Almost all of his teams have won a championship this year, with the only blemish being Man City knocked out of the Champions League.
Braves haven't won anything yet.
Oh, he doesn't. Don't jinx his
Braves
man.
haven't won anything. And I'm expecting the worst next 2 nights, by the way.
No,
Just so you know.
of course you are.
He says, anyway, thank you all for what
Yes.
DNVR does. Have a fantastic Tuesday, everyone.
Thank you, Hip
Thank
Hip,
you.
you, Ray. And last one, coming for Mace. He says, coming in from Omaha, says, Mace's tracksuit game is so on point. Why does it get 0 run on these pods? RK, I'm looking at you. Let's go.
Sorry, we'll start bringing in Fashion Corner.
I know you would love that.
I would.
Yeah, yeah.
That tracksuit I wore yesterday, that's like my daughter's favorite thing that I wear.
Really?
Because it's got like kind of the fuchsia, the teal, and the black. She's like, "Oh, I love that, Dad."
So that's
That's a great thing. When you hear that from your daughter, who now she's in 3rd grade, so she's starting to kind of have her own, like have a distinct sense of fashion and style. And, hey, like, Dad, you rocked in that. I'm like, well, thank you.
It's
That's
the best
awesome.
compliment you can get.
Yeah.
Might have to get it in every colorway now.
Oh.
I like it so much. I got there. It's a Manchester City Puma tracksuit, and I found it like at Finax. There was like a 20% off sale, and so I got the version that's going to have the navy sweatpants and the light blue jacket, and so hopefully that'll be arriving later this week.
Nice, nice. Can't
But
wait for more jumpsuits.
But I love the colors, like with the teal and the kind of the hot pink, the fuchsia.
Yeah.
I like that,
especially on camera.
Yeah, it does. So you'll see it again, I'm sure.
All right. Before you guys get out of here, we'd love if you hit us with a thumbs up on YouTube, and of course, we're gonna give a thumbs up to our friends. Actually, 2 thumbs up to our friends over at Green Mountain Dental Group.
That was 6 thumbs up.
Wow, 6 thumbs up to Green Mountain Dental
I'd put my
Group.
big toes up as well if I could, but we got our shoes on.
Yeah,
so.
that is true. Keep your shoes on.
Yeah.
Green Mountain Dental is the absolute best family-owned dentist group in the metro area. Just 15 minutes outside of Denver over there in Lakewood. It's a nice, easy drive. It's actually a very beautiful drive. And once you go over there, you're going to realize that they treat you like family over there because they're part of the DNVR family, and they have for a long time. You'll probably talk about the Vaughn trade over there, or whatever else is topical in the Colorado sports world. And you might even run into your dentist when you come down to the DNVR bar. So check out Green Mountain Dental Group, and we appreciate them very much. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will catch you tomorrow.